got plenty of content to get through. Do you have any way you regularly put out content? Are you much of a content hound?
Instagram, and when I have an opportunity to make videos, I stick them on TikTok, but I'm still pretty new at that. So
TikTok.
I know I have to try everything, right? I have to be everywhere.
Yeah, well,
we told them old, so best I be on TikTok then.
Far out, yeah. If being everywhere means I need to start dancing on TikTok, I don't know, man. Say
dancing on TikTok. No, that's not what I said.
I know.
No.
I wouldn't judge if you were. I love a good boogie. I love a boogie. So, but yes, it's a funny algorithm, that TikTok thing, isn't it? It's like you can just go viral off of anything, and then you make something good quality and it might just go completely tank, and you just never know what's going to happen these days with the old TikTok. But that's okay. But let's get into this. Let's say hello to the world. Let's have a little chat about Odette de Beer. Cool. Odette. Goodness me. Amplify business. Cool. Okay. Well, welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast, everyone. I'm here today with Odette de Beer from Amplify Biz. She is an international business growth and strategist coach, but also she's a consciousness coach, which is a really lovely and intriguing combination I'd love to talk about today. So she's the developer of the world's first e-learning marketing platform, which is now used in over 50 countries. And generally, just an all-round super interesting lady. Odette, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We had a chat last week, but for people who don't know, could you give us a quick little elevator pitch of who you are, what you help people with, and who you help?
Sure. So I am, like you said, an international business strategist and coach, and I do a few things, but ultimately what it boils down to is I help business owners attract, inspire, and engage high-value clients, unlock referral potential, de-risk their income, and master growth strategies. We do that because at the end of the day, all businesses started out wanting to grow. Everyone starts a business because they want freedom. Then they master this really cool product or service, and then something happens along the way. So nobody taught them how to master multiple strategies. COVID hit, for example, and many businesses had to close, and they thought there was something wrong with them. It wasn't that there was something wrong with them. It's that their toolbox was just not big enough. So my job is to help business owners master strategy so that they have a bigger toolbox. And if this particular product no longer works because it's commoditized, or there's too many people in that service, then you can just up and move to something else because you've now been equipped. Our mission is to equip 400 business owners, both in Australia and in South Africa, in the next 10 years. And that doesn't sound like a very big thing, but actually it's huge because 400 people would then be able to set up shop, close shop, restart, and still succeed and build the life of their dreams. And I mean, at the moment, there's only 2 of us. So like 400 is pretty big.
Well, yeah, 400 people could be 40,000 employees, really, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the really, really cool thing about B2B work. I think because we work in the coaching space, there's often that kind of idea that when you're working B2C, you're working with clients to really change something about their life. That might have more meaning, and B2B is more financially based. But B2B is actually affecting a lot of lives as well, because yes, you help them with their bottom line and their marketing and make more money at the top end. But what does that do for the lady who now gets more hours in the warehouse so she can go take her kids on holiday, that sort of thing? I think it's a really beautiful trickle-down effect when you can help a business grow, because there's a lot of people involved in a business. Do you have any really cool stories? I know you're not, many, many years into it, but do you have any cool stories out of these, clients you've got about anything that's really changed in their business over time?
Yeah, so I actually had a client not too long ago that joined up, and she was really struggling getting sales in the door. And just by having a couple of conversations around who she serves, where she finds them, many people think that you need to spend a ton of cash on marketing. And don't get me wrong, you have to market your product, you have to market your service, absolutely. But all of that is really a waste of time if you don't know who you serve. I'm all about customer. Who's your customer? Where do they hang out? Do you understand them? And by giving her insights about who she serves and where they hang out and how to connect with them, she was able to go from 1 to 2 sales a week to 4 sales a day. At some point, she sent me a message and said, Odette, I'm turning away sales because I need a break. And that boils down to knowing who your customer is, right? That changed her life. It changed her marriage. It changed everything about the way that she sees business. Now, those things can be short-lived if you don't add on to that strategic planning. So where are we going? How do we get there? And is it all about spend, 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 spend? Or is it about, okay, we've got this thing, but we need to make sure that it's sustainable in the long run? And that's really what it's about. It's about equipping them to create long-term sustainability as opposed to, oh, we're here today and gone tomorrow.
Yes, I love that. You definitely see it. And that's a really, really cool story, by the way. 1 to 2 sales a week to 4 sales a day. Love that. Life-changing stuff, right? We do see so much in the coaching space. And I'm glad you mentioned this. People go, oh, I just did 100 grand this month. And then it's like, how are you backing that up? How are you still delivering these people? How are you going to create recurring income out of this? So what, when someone goes from 1 to 2 sales a day, a week to 4 sales a day, that's pretty much 20 times in their business in a short period of time. What is a system that they need to put in place to maintain delivery at a certain level of quality?
Well, there's a couple of things you need to put in place, right? First, you need to identify how did you get that sale and how do you make it recurring revenue? Exactly that. What's your monthly recurring revenue? Is it a one-off? If it's a one-off, how can you connect with those people to make it a multiple sale thing? So bundling, understanding why did they buy from you in the first place? What problem is it that you've solved in this particular case? And how can you continue to remain relevant? So that's where our client journey comes in. So how do you merge your journey as a business owner with that of your customer so that you remain relevant in their life? And you can only do that if you know who you serve and you really understand them. And I know that sounds so simple. Oh, but I sell insurance. Yes, but to who? And what is it that they need? And how do you remain relevant? Is it just a once-off product? So I sell you a bunch of flowers, or do I really show up and start solving your momentous occasions for you, right? So the florist that comes and says, I sell you this bunch of flowers because, it's cool at Woolies. Or actually, Alex, don't you have an anniversary coming up? Isn't it your mom's birthday next week? What about your daughter? Don't you want to surprise her with some flowers and make her feel special? So it's about understanding what are those moments that you can really wedge, and I say that politely, wedge yourself into the life of your customer so that you can show up for them and solve a problem and connect with them emotionally, because suddenly you're the hero husband who comes home with flowers just because, or you remembered your anniversary, or your mom receives these beautiful flowers because you remembered to send her flowers on their anniversary or on her birthday. So that one I sell flowers can become recurring revenue. In some industries, you can create monthly recurring revenue. From a coaching perspective, that's certainly possible. From a product perspective, if we're talking flowers, you can make sure that you wedge yourself across the 12 months, and then you just need to plan. So it's cool that you've got 4 new sales a day, but how have you backstopped it to say, I understand who Alex is, and I actually understand that I solve this problem for him. And the problem that I solve is that I deliver a memory, I deliver a feeling, and actually now his wife feels special, right? So it's about understanding how you put that in place. If you then start growing and you consistently grow, you need policies and procedures and systems in place so that you can get other people on board. Now you start buying back your time, but you can only do that if you've been able to maintain those sales. So are you consistently getting 4 sales a day for at least 6 weeks so that we know it wasn't a fluke, that it was really ongoing revenue? You've now got a model, you've got something that you can systemize over time. Now you can say, what are the admin things that I can outsource? One of the things you can outsource is bookkeeping. Like if you hate bookkeeping, for crying out loud, outsource it. There are VAs all over the world that you can use for your admin stuff. If you've got invoicing that needs to be done. You can do it at a fraction of the cost. And the reality is you get your time back. So now you can develop the business. You could spend more time with your family. Those things come into play once you've got the consistent revenue and you've proven that the system works.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. I love the flower shop analogy, by the way. Really good idea. Write down your customer's anniversary for them. Let them know, hey, by the way, Rick, you want to go home to a smile today? A bit of a tangible question off of what you just said. A bit of a chicken or the egg solution, like question, right? Say you're at the point in your business where you're getting very, very busy and you definitely could outsource and need some help, but you're not quite there yet. You project it happening in a month or two. Do you go out and hire the staff first to make space to grow, or do you grow to make money for the staff and then hire them? What do you think should come first?
So I think that boils down to what your operating standards are. In my business, one of our standards are we don't spend what we don't have. So if you don't have the income to spend and you're not sure, then I would say rather don't employ the people. Stick with what you've got. It's going to stretch you for a little bit. But the truth is, business owners, we are risky people attached to, we're adrenaline junkies, right? That's what it is. We're adrenaline junkies. We love the thrill of, I need to make budget this month, and then, I made budget. That's why we do what we do. Otherwise, we would just get a job, right? That's the reality. If your business is inclined to grow and you're quite happy to make debt and you're quite happy to spend what you don't have, then by all means, get that person on, but make sure that you have a plan that you hold yourself to, that you grow that business and bring in that income. Because I think the most irresponsible thing that a business owner can do is bring on a team, which you then later have to let go. One of the big organizations here in Australia are now facing that situation where they had brought in work from the Philippines. It's a massive organization. We won't name any names. And they said that they were going to grow the staff by 1,000 people. That same organization 6 months later is now under pressure to bring their costs down. How do you bring your costs down? The first thing you do is you cut heads. You have a moral obligation to the people that you employ to make sure that your business is sustainable. It's now no longer just about you, exactly what you said. I'm helping 400 business owners, but those 400 business owners each employ 100 people, and those people have families and they have an income that needs to be protected. So for me, I would rather say, I put in a little bit of extra time, make sure that you can manage it and start small. A VA costs you $13 an hour, but it buys back 6 hours of your day, right? So now you've got 6 hours that you can work on your business instead of in your business. Once you've got the VA sorted, make sure that you outsource your accounting. Your accounting for you took you 3 hours a week, but an accountant can do it for you in an hour a week, because that's what they do, right? When we do something every day, we get really good at it and we do it quicker. So you start then buying back your time in that way so that you can sustain it. And only once you know you can bring on a full-time employee is when you do that. But you've done the projections, you know that your sales and recurring income is stable. You know that you can pay the salary, because there's nothing worse than bringing on someone and 2 months later going, you know what, my ego got in the way and I really wanted to grow and I have to let you go now. No, not okay.
I agree. I had to do it once. And it was a real pain. I really felt for the person. And it was really just because we were in the wrong business. It wasn't even that it wasn't working. It's just that we started something, then the passion wasn't really there. And we realized that, we didn't really want to do this anymore. And we rehomed all our staff but one. And we couldn't rehome this lady. That was a real shame. And a really big lesson. Really big lesson, right? I do want to talk about consciousness coaching in a bit, right? But you're giving some really, golden strategy here, which is awesome. And I know that they intertwine, they're not mutually exclusive. But while we're talking tangible stuff, when you start a business, do you agree with burning the boats?
What do you mean?
As in, a lot of people say, you want to start, a lot of these hypey internet entrepreneurs these days will say, you want to start a business, you got to give yourself no choice but to succeed. You need to burn the boats. You need to quit your job. You need to put yourself in debt to, go out there and make it happen. Put your back against the wall. And that's the way you're going to do it. That's like what Tony Robbins would say. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I can tell by your face, you're not a real big fan.
Look, I think it depends on your stage of life.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 small kids and a family to support. So I would most certainly not do that, because it depends on what your value is. My value is security and creating security for my family. So that goes against my values. If you are a youngster and you have nothing to lose and no one depending on you, go for it, because you can always fall back on something else. You can only really burn the boats if you've done thorough market research, if you know that there is a gap in the market for you and you've got the backing to go and do the marketing. I am not a big fan of debt, so I will not advocate that you go into debt so that you can market your product that might work so that maybe you've got a business. Those are just too risky for me. I have a family to support, and unless there's numbers to support it, I wouldn't say so. I'm all about data. Data points need to tell you what you should be doing. Follow the numbers. If the numbers don't say that there is a $1 billion business here and you are the one who's going to get it because you have the right connections, you have the right partnerships, you've got the right ideas and you're already in there. If the numbers don't support it, you don't do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great answer. Really great answer. I'm learning that the further I go into business, the more you read numbers, you can make decisions logically rather than emotionally.
Absolutely.
Especially in marketing, sounds really sexy to say, we'll go out and film some videos, put some ads out there, build an email list and make some sales. But when you start talking about, when you figure out what your cost per acquisition is, then you can figure out what your KPI for your lead cost is. If you take your conversion rate and you figure out that your conversion rate is 2% and then you can get your lead cost, then that means that you can be profitable spending this much a month. Do you have this? Awesome. Are you confident in your sales? What's your follow-up? Where are they clicking? And what, that stuff's not very sexy, but it kind of is when you get into it, because it actually
puts the numbers in.
It is. It takes the emotion out of it. It lets you make decisions that even if something's not looking great, you can zoom out a little bit and say, oh yeah, I had two bad days of ads. In the last 2 days, I didn't get many leads in from the ads. But if I look for the month, actually, we're absolutely hitting numbers, and therefore I don't need to freak out and spend all night doing bullshit on my computer. I could actually, it's a lot of fun. This is really, really cool stuff, Odette. Where did you learn to do this?
Where did I learn to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a school of life. No, I lie.
School of hard knocks.
Yes, I've done all kinds of different things in a corporate environment, and part of the different things that I did was actually process engineering and process optimization, which led me into businesses and helping them become efficient and effective and helping them grow their businesses or just become more effective. And part of that is understanding the numbers. Part of that is understanding the processes that supports it. And in addition to that, I then started the consciousness coaching because I wanted to help people. And I realized, actually now also being in business, that I can give you any strategy, but if your mindset sucks, your business will not succeed with that strategy. I have seen 2 business owners employ the same strategy in similar kinds of businesses. The one made it, the other one didn't. The one that didn't had a shitty mindset. It is what it is. So it's a little bit of showing up as a business owner. I do lots of personal development. I'm part of the school of thought that says you have to continuously learn the rest of your life. Otherwise, you're going to die and your brain's going to die. That's my biggest fear. I don't want a dead brain. So I'm always spending time on webinars, learning more about marketing, learning more about sales. What's out there, what's there in terms of growth strategies. And I must be honest with you, the truth is that growth strategies are pretty vanilla. You can Google it. There's stuff available on YouTube on how to grow your business. You don't need me to tell you how to do it, but you do need me to hold you accountable and help you figure out what your mindset is. My magic is not in teaching you how to grow your business. My magic is in teaching you how to think differently, because when you can show up as a different individual and you can show up as a different being, your business will succeed anyway, because that's when you spend the time to critically think about, I need my numbers, I need the strategy. Does this work in my market? Doesn't it work in my market? And your question around the consciousness coaching, where does that fit in? The reality is, an aware leader, an aware business owner runs a good business. But you cannot be aware if you're that guy who flies off the handle emotionally, you don't think about things, you pay only attention to your own crap. You can't run a business like that. Part of consciousness coaching is giving people the space and the time to think about who they are, how they show up, and what are the things that's taking up space. For example, one of the things that we don't think about is how the Pareto principle plays out in life, in business, and in our personal environment. The Pareto principle says that 20% of what you do every day produces 80% of the results. The same is true for your wardrobe. You only wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time. Go look at what you've worn, right?
Yeah.
But it like takes up space. So now your wardrobe is full and you walk in and you go, oh, it's so full here. Your mind, like you've got all these things cluttered and you hold on to so much stuff. And because all of that stuff takes up mental real estate, now you don't have time to think strategically. You don't have time to think creatively because you've got all the stuff in here. So if you just applied the Pareto principle to the things you think about, to the stuff in your home, to your office, what does your office look like? A lot of business owners have stuff all over. Do you really need all of that? Well, I'm okay. Motion manages emotion, right? So the exercise things are good. But it's about understanding how your being affects how you run a business and whether or not you'll be successful, and what you pay attention to. Again, when you want to grow your business, you can only focus on certain things. You can't focus on everything. And John Maxwell says it really well. He says it's not time management, because you can't manage time. We've all got the same amount of hours. It's about priority management. Now we're starting to talk, what do you focus on? How do you grow your business? There's really 5 things: lead generation, lead conversion, getting more sales, growing your profits, managing your costs. Those are the things that grow your business. And then we add on to that the latest social media gimmick. We add on to that the latest guy that sold this new thing that looks super cool. And we get caught up in these shiny things. But the shiny things don't help you grow your business. It's consistency. So if I didn't teach you how to be consistent, then you're going to start something and a week later go, oh, no, this ad didn't work, scrap it. But you don't know that.
No, you don't. I had a lovely conversation with a guy this morning asking if he could just come on and do a month worth of marketing with me. And I explained that if we have a month-long marketing strategy, then we're only thinking within the confines of 4 weeks. And we're going to make decisions in a rush. We're going to build things in a rush. We're not going to be able to take things slowly, be logical, and really, truly do something great. We're going to be half-assing everything, right? So I explained, 3 months minimum to do anything. And I mean, honestly, how long? This is a stupidly broad question, but you definitely know exactly what you're talking about. How long realistically do you think people generally start to see results from, startup to making a living off of it?
Honestly, when I sign up clients, I don't sign them up for less than 12 months. And I'll tell you why. So Six Sigma and Kaizen, the theory behind it is creating small incremental changes that produces lasting results. And I do the same with business growth. So business growth, when I deal with a client, is not about, I go in, I change something, and tomorrow you're a millionaire. Doesn't happen. I know you'd love that. It's not going to happen. And the person who says it will is lying to you. Take your money and run. It's not the right guy for you, right? So when it comes to implementing a strategy, for example, lead nurturing, you can't think that you can nurture a lead and tomorrow you're going to have a gazillion sales. Nurturing is exactly that. It's taking people along a journey. A journey is not 2 days. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's over a period of time. So if you are consistently doing the do, you will see 1% increase this month, 2% increase next month, 3% increase next month. Your goal is not to make 100% increase in 2 days. Your goal is to be 1% better today than you were yesterday, and 5% better this week than you were last week, because now we're starting to talk about compound effects. The 1% from last week becomes 5% this week, becomes 10% next week. It's a long-term process. And if you're in business, you're in it for the long haul. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So if you take it from the perspective of a marathon, then exactly what you're saying, you can't do a marketing strategy in a month. No. Do you know what works? Have you got data to support it? And does that data tell you where you should be spending your time? You can't get a month's data and say, I now know exactly what's happening, because your customers are constantly changing, constantly. And their expectations are constantly changing. So you have to evolve the whole time. And it's improving just a little bit, but those little bit of improvements is going to result in massive growth over time, not tomorrow.
Yeah, over time. I think the main theme I'm seeing that is absolutely derailing businesses all over the internet is impatience. And it's not their fault. It's the fault of the people who are selling the fast business, the 7-figure laptop lifestyle, the Lamborghini that you're rented and the private jet and the bullshit. I talk about this on every freaking podcast. We get around to these disingenuous, shiny little fuckers from like London who are saying, yeah, all you need is this one strategy, sell a $27 program, and, here's my Stripe screenshot. I did $150,000 this week.
Yes, but he didn't tell you that it took him 6 years to get there.
Yeah, or that he spent $140,000 that week, to make 10 grand profit. I try to be very transparent about my journey. You're transparent about your journey. For example, I could say that back in 2003, you were managing the Jazz Time Cafe.
Yes.
What did you learn about restaurant managing that you can now apply to corporate business?
Oh, you know what? It's all about people. Like 100%. It took me a really long time to recognize this, because if you met me 2003, you'd be like, whoa, back up the bus. I was pretty intense. But it is about connecting with people. The reality is we all think that we need to shove this product, this service down someone's throat, when actually we just need to connect with people. So my whole vibe has changed from pushing sales and pushing revenue to let's connect with people, let's be human, because actually at the core, that's all we really want. We want to feel like we belong. We all want a sense of belonging, and we want to know that we can trust the person that we're working with. So it's important for us to build trust, and you don't build trust on one email. You don't build trust on one ad, and you certainly don't build trust in a team by going in there going, you have to do these things right now. Yes, I'm still process driven. I'm still delivery driven, 100%. But I make space for people to show up with their quirks and with their stuff and with whatever, because like that's what makes life interesting. And I didn't at the time realize that even though we tried to compartmentalize, people bring their stuff to work, and you have to give them an opportunity to just be. So when I do check-ins, my clients know we do a check-in before we have a conversation. Before you start telling me what we're working on today, I want to know, how are you? And sometimes it's red, amber, green. I'm red today and I don't want to talk about it. And that's cool. It gave you an opportunity to just acknowledge where you are. And I must be honest, I've seen that as a theme throughout my corporate career. Even when we started meetings and I worked for a bank in South Africa, and it was very much process driven, and you have to deliver this. So we walk into a meeting, there's an agenda, but that agenda didn't acknowledge the person. And I can tell you 100% without fail, because of that, most of those people sat in those meetings thinking about stuff that's going on. They were stuck in traffic. The kids are sick. You mentioned before the session, both your kiddos are sick. That's terrible. And we have to give people an opportunity to just acknowledge it. By you acknowledging it, it's now out of your mind. It's not a thing anymore. You're not feeling like you haven't been heard. You feel heard. And now you feel like, okay, I'm open for this conversation. And I think a large part of my journey has just been learning that people need to be heard. People need to feel like they belong. And we need to create an environment where that is true. I've worked with some awesome leaders and I've worked with some really crap leaders. And hands down, the awesome leaders are always the people who first listen to the individual. You're human, you've got stuff, let's talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I told you I don't fix my background in my office when I do this, because I'm human and this is my stuff, you know. Why do you think the world and business now is moving so much more towards authenticity and away from sort of superiority over your clients?
Because superiority is, first of all, not real. It's not genuine. So for me, I've always been very careful to talk about being an expert in anything, because I don't believe you can be. There's always someone out there who knows more than you. And there's always something more to learn. And that's why I do the whole continuous learning, lifelong learning thing, because there's always something more to learn. And the more aware I become, the more aware I become of the fact that I know nothing. The more I know that I know nothing and that I don't understand. I think I understand. There are things that I probably do understand better than most people, but actually I don't understand, because there's somebody else who knows more than me, who understands more than me, and who connects with people more than me. And if we can be human in a real way, then we can connect with people. And when you connect with people, you can bring things together. I'm about creating ecosystems of growth. You can't create an ecosystem if there's superiority and fighting. But when we are all equal, and I'm not talking about communism equal, I'm talking about you're a human being, I'm a human being, let's connect, your strength becomes my strength. And collectively, again, compounding effects, we can do awesome things. There are people who are really awesome on their own. But what makes you attractive as an individual is the fact that you care about people, because everyone at the core of it wants a sense of belonging. We all want to belong to something greater than us, and we all want to make a greater impact in the world. That's why millennials are struggling with like these corporates. They want meaningful work, and the corporates are not able to translate an admin job into meaningful work because they don't connect the dots for the people. We want to know that we made an impact. That's what we want, all of us. And if you just take away that and you go, you have to do this thing and I'm better than you and I told you to, then people disconnect. And yeah, they'll do what they need to do, but you won't get the best in them. You'll just get the box checked.
Yeah, that's massive. That's so true with millennials and corporations these days. They don't, while they run the world, they don't fit into what young people want from the world. And even though they're necessary, it's kind of like, for this billion-dollar machine to run, yes, you need an awful lot of people working in cubicles and warehouses to make it work. But how do you get that person excited? My mentor, who I work with, runs a team of, maybe about 15 people. And he's got some practices on teamwork that I've now moved down to my team. And one of them is they fill out a little daily form, because they're all VAs, everyone works remotely, so we're not in the same room, clearly. And and they say, it talks about what are the tasks you're getting done today, what can you do better, but also what made you smile yesterday, and why are your goals today important in helping us have an impact? And there's always a fresh answer in there. And it's really, really cool to see that, because it can be difficult to think, why was sending out these email outreaches impactful on the world? But when you force someone to think about that every day, and you make them realize that, yes, every time you help a business owner, you help an employee, and an employee might mean new ballet shoes for some little 5-year-old girl out there. I think that's a really important thing to think about. And business gets looked at as a very sterile thing sometimes. But it's just,
what I've learned, that if you want people's hands, you have to first connect with their hearts. Because if I can connect with your heart, it doesn't matter what it is you do. If I can connect with your heart, I'll get your mind and I'll get your hands. And ultimately, we need more hands. If we're going to make an impact in the world, we need hands and we need to join hands. I can't do that if I don't connect with your heart. And it's exactly that. It's those ballet shoes for your daughter because she's going to her first ballet class. Oh my freaking word, I've got goosebumps. Really? That's awesome. Like, let's do that. Yes, build revenue. Yes, make sales. But actually, that little girl is going to stand on stage and she's going to beam and she's going to glow because mommy or daddy bought her first ballet shoes. Come on. That's what life is about.
That's absolutely rock and roll. I love that to bits. It feels like we shouldn't even go back to talking about strategy anymore. It feels like we should end it on, if you want people's hands, you've got to connect with their heart. Absolutely. Because especially now we're working remotely, that's probably never been more true than it is today. Easier, to get people all on board when you can all huddle in a room, at the beginning of the day, high five each other, have a staff barbecue on Friday afternoons, that sort of thing. But when you're all in your little home offices with your kids homeschooling out there, or, laundry baskets all around you, we've all got them. It can be very, very difficult to connect to a goal and to a vision. So just quickly before we wrap up, is there a way that you found over the last 18 months to really help business owners connect with their team remotely?
So for me, it comes down to doing the check-in. And I do that hands down. All my coaching is done online, by the way. I don't do face-to-face with real people. The last time I saw real people was at a business event 2 weeks ago, but none of my client work is in real person. It's all online. And it is about giving people the space to just acknowledge what it is that's going on for them. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not a rant, and it's not a bitching session where you get to air all your laundry. It's an opportunity for you to voice what's taking up your mental capacity, and then creating instances where people can connect offline but online. So we can't do a barbecue face to face anymore, but let's do a 1 o'clock Zoom. Why not do a 1 o'clock Zoom and talk about whatever it is comes up for you? I worked for an organization that used to have cooking lessons, like a webinar on cooking lessons. Let's cook paella tonight. And everyone in the team has paella tonight because we just all learned how to cook paella. And you hear people going, oh, flip, I don't know these onions. How are you supposed to cut the onions so that you don't cry? I'm crying. I can't see, But it's about being real and don't shout at people when their kids come walking in the room. My kids sometimes interrupt my sessions. And you know what? It is what it is. Say hello. Good job. You need to go now, baby. And just allow for that to happen. Everyone is stressed. Everyone's dealing with something. Just acknowledge it and be kind. And there is a time for driving productivity. There's absolutely a time for driving revenue. But I think now more than ever is the time for us to just be kind. Acknowledge that the people are dealing with stuff and be open to having conversations. And if you're not comfortable, then find someone who they can speak to when there is something that comes up for them.
You heard it here, everyone. You heard it here from Odette de Beer, international growth strategist, pushing nothing but kindness and authenticity and connection to help you grow your business. Strategy comes second. First is connection. That is such a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And I know you're going to help tens of thousands of little girls and little boys buy ballet shoes all over the world over the next decade. We didn't get onto your e-learning marketing system, but tell people quickly where they can find you, Amplify Business Coaching and Consulting. What are you all about? What are some of these beautiful e-learning products you've got that you can get in our hands to help us grow our businesses?
So you can find us obviously on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And then our website is amplifycoach.biz or amplifyonline.biz. The e-learning stuff that you're talking about really is the e-learning marketing system that we have to enable business owners who can't spend what they should be spending on one-on-one coaching, but they need the help. So It's an e-learning system that drops stuff into your mailbox on a weekly basis. It talks about strategy, it talks about personal development, and it talks about the things that you need to put in place to grow your business. It all starts with foundations. So vision, mission, values, goals, what are those things? And it builds from there over a 12-month period, and it adjusts to wherever you are in your business. I'd be happy to have a conversation. If anyone wants to hook me up on LinkedIn, let's chat.
Yeah, I love how it's modularized and drip fed like that. I think it's a really, really great way of digesting education when you are busy and running a business. So that's super cool. I am definitely going to go back and check out the email one myself. And hey, Odette, what an absolute pleasure to meet you face to face. Thank you so much for your beautiful talk today. It went in a really lovely direction. And yeah, I always say thank you one more time. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Everyone watching live or listening or whatever you're doing, thank you so much for coming to another Coaches to the Moon episode. We'll be back in a few days' time with another amazing coach or consultant or business owner to give you some knowledge bombs. Thank you so much. Much